Hello again. In this episode, I'll show you how to trigger sounds from animation events, and in particular Foley sounds for our character. To do that, we will need to create one more script which will help us trigger all the sound events that we have added in our sound manager. Let's call it Sound Player. Let's open the script with Visual Studio. In this script, we will need to use properties with two accessors, get and set. Firstly, we need to cast our sound manager, and let's call it sound manager with lowercase s. Then we will create a public string array, and this will be our name field array. I'll call it _sound names. This will appear in the inspector. Next, we will create a property. I'll call it name with capital N. This will be an array as well. The get accessor will access our name field array and return _sound names, while the set accessor will store into the field using the keyword value. So basically, it assigns a value, in this case a string, to the property. In the start method, we need to continue casting the sound manager, so we need to write sound manager with lowercase s equals soundmanager.instance. Finally, we will create a new function to trigger the sounds. This will require a string, and that string will be _sound names. Then we need to call the placeSound function we created in the sound manager, as well as the stopSound function in order to stop our sounds from playing. Now, back into Unity, we'll need to create Sound Manager game object and add the Sound Manager script that we created in the previous episode. After that, we need to say how many sound events we want to add at this point. For now, let's add 3. We definitely need footsteps. I always like to split it into 2 events, left and right, because I feel it sounds more natural this way. The third event should be the sound of our character jumping. In the next episode, we will learn how to trigger a sound when the player is landing. We need to do that in code. Next, I'll import a few audio clips to each sound event in order to not sound repetitive and boring. We can randomize it even further by assigning different minimum and maximum volume and pitch values. Even though our sound manager can generate audio sources, let's create a few ones now and assign them to each event. In future videos, I'll show you when it's best to make an audio source or when it's better to let the sound manager generate one. We can use the same audio source for both left and right footstep because by the time you hear the second footstep, the first one has finished. Sometimes it may be better to just create 2 different audio sources for left and right, depending on the length of the sound clip. Now let's go to our character and add a new component for our sound player. Let's create 3 sound names and name them exactly as you have in the sound manager. One reason that I have two inspectors shown here is because I want to lock my sound manager in one of them to not make any spelling mistakes, among other things. Now let's add some audio clips to our jumping event and also create a new audio source for it and assign it to the event. Let's check if I did everything correctly. Cool. So now we need to open the animation tab and let's find the jump animation first. By hitting preview, you can now scroll the animation's timeline and find the most suitable spot to trigger our event. Since this is a jump, obviously we need it at the very beginning. We need to click this button to add the event. Then, in the inspector, we need to find our play sound function from the function drop-down menu. And of course, we need to add the name of our sound event. Again, having two inspectors help us not make any mistakes. Now, let's find the running animation. Again, hit preview and scroll to find the right spot where the foot hits the ground. I think frame 1 looks about right. Let's find the play sound function like before. I think that's her right foot. Not that it matters, but let's use that. Keep on scrolling. I think frame 12 looks good for the left footstep. Again, we do the same thing. Now let's see if our sounds work. Okay, footsteps sound good. Jumping sounds nice too. Perfect. As you can hear, it sounds natural and not repetitive. We need to add one more event to make it even better, and that's the sound of clothes when moving. We need a new audio source as well, so let's just copy-paste one of the existing ones. Next, we need to go to the character game object and add a new name in our sound player. And of course, we need to add some triggers. The best place is just before the footstep sound because you normally hear the rustle of the clothes first and then the footstep. So let's add the first one on the first frame, since we can't do it earlier, and the second one a bit later. Frame 10 looks about right. Now I'll just show you how the audio source is choosing random clips and volume and pitch values when the sound is triggered. One important thing I forgot is to assign the correct audio source. Let's do that now. Okay, and let's press play. You can see in the audio source that random values are being chosen. However, one thing I actually forgot is to enable avoid repeat in all of our events. I just noticed that some of the clauses were triggered twice. So let's go back and enable avoid repeat in all of our sounds, and now you will see that the same clip will never play twice. Perfect, I think it sounds even better now, and as you can see, the same sound is not triggered twice. Okay, I think that's it for this episode. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.